Hello and welcome to Console Tours, taking you to the real-life locations behind your favorite games. And do you want to have this be the last one for this one, or?
I can keep going.
Alright.
And we can cut this anywhere.
Yeah.
Just keep talking until I'm good, and then
Okay.
you can cut these into multiple episodes, right?
Yeah.
So Sandgem is the first of the towns in Sinnoh where I would have a hard time assigning it one-to-one to any particular location. So there are places that get close. Chitose, Tomakamai, Shiroi, even arguably if you want to go as far into like the Nikap and other areas, Hidaka Monbetsu areas, Hidaka Town. But what I'm saying is, it is emblematic of the larger of two town types you will find located along Hokkaido's coast. So now we're getting into the area of Hokkaido where I am most familiar because this was my stomping grounds. This was where I lived. I lived in the area between the various Ezo mountain ranges, the Hidaka Mountains and the Ezo Mountains and Mount Asahi and various other mountain ranges, which kind of all got condensed into Mount Coronet.
Yeah, so all of this stuff.
Yeah, so in the real Hokkaido, those run a little bit more horizontally than they do vertically, and I lived between those mountains and the southern coast of Hokkaido, which was primarily the Pacific Ocean, and then meet it at the various capes at the points of Hokkaido. It would go into the Sea of Otosk, which separates Hokkaido from Russia. So essentially there are two kinds of towns in this area of Hokkaido, and Sandgem is the larger one. They are not the most aesthetically pleasing of places. They tend to have one standout feature, such as a mall, or a large arcade, or a movie theater, or
a Pokemon research lab.
or a Western restaurant. They tend to be very focused on industry, more so than agriculture, as if to kind of say we are a step above the agricultural towns that you get as you go farther along the coast. Fishing and the transportation of goods and marine goods is very important as an industry. And so I would say Tomakamai City would probably be the closest analog you get to Sandgem, but it is a very particular town type that exists within this region of Hokkaido. So Tomakamai is pretty much best known as one of the ferry ports that you can take a ferry from the northern parts of Honshu, like from Aomori and such, up to Hokkaido. I unfortunately never did that because it's quite the long trip, but I have heard wonderful things about it. They are very modern towns compared to the rest of this area of Hokkaido. You see a lot of technology, like I said, you see a lot of arcades, a lot of, not necessarily skyscrapers, but a lot of larger buildings. As here, Sandgem being where the Pokemon Research Lab is located. I like the decision in Sinnoh to separate the town where the research lab is from the town where your house is. I believe this was the first generation to do that.
Yes.
And then I don't think they would do it again until Sword and Shield, right?
No, they did do it in the 5th gen. Okay. In the second game of the 5th gen.
Right. I haven't played those yet. But I like that because it's very much how Hokkaido is structured. You have a lot of smaller towns that have kind of been absorbed into one area or one sub-prefecture. You have a lot of fairly similar towns close to one another that you sort of feel might serve a bit of a redundant function, that don't really have a lot to distinguish themselves from one another. And keep in mind, I am not crapping on Tomakamai City. I had some lovely, lovely times there. It was the closest import store to my house, so it was where I would go to get my coffee and my Western chocolate. It was also the closest movie theater that wasn't run out of a person's house.
That movie theater that you told me about is amazing.
I'll talk about it. But it was the first, it was the closest large-scale movie theater, where I would go to see all of the Western releases when they finally made it out to Japan. as well as, all the Pokemon movies as they came out, your Detective Conan, your Doraemon movies. Spent a lot of time there. But it wasn't somewhere where I spent a lot of time. I would, stay at a hotel there or with a friend there and then do day trips out to, Nobori-Betsu, out to some of the hiking trails that are a little further out. It just was kind of like a very stopover sort of place that had all the essentials but wasn't the most exciting place to visit. So it could be Tamakama, it could be Chitose, which is I pretty much only ever went to when I had to go to the airport. I will say, while I did say that there is a ferry from quote-unquote mainland onto Hokkaido, go by plane, because Chitose Airport is a utterly weird, magical place that I genuinely loved visiting. Take everything you know about airports and put it away. This place had a movie theater, this place had an onsen with really nice baths, this place had a chocolate factory inside the airport where you could sit and watch them make chocolate while you also ate chocolate.
So it was like the Mall of America, but with a landing strip.
Yeah, basically. So actually, if you're visiting Hokkaido, fly into Chitose Airport, because it's awesome. So yeah, that's Sandgem. Which does not have a gym, right?
No.
Just the Pokemon region? Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't been talking so much about gyms, but...
We don't have to... the only one we've actually been into is...
Alright, where to next?
We could go over to Oreburgh.
Yeah, because let's go up to some of the ones I don't know as much about.
Okay.
Just because we've done a bunch of the ones I know a lot about. Don't go to Pastoria because I live there.
Yeah. Well, the next two are Oreburgh and Floroma, so...
Oh, see, I know a lot about Floroma, too.
Okay.
Oreburgh I don't know so much.
Okay.
So Oreburgh is a town where I can definitely identify what it's supposed to be, but it looks nothing like the actual town that it's based on. So because of the presence of a mine, I believe that Oreburgh is intended to be Yubari, which has a mine. However, Oreburgh is kind of your very rocky, industrial setting, whereas Yubari is absolutely beautiful. And while it is known for mining, it is also more famously known for melons. The world's best melons. No, I'm not exaggerating.
That might be, hold on, why there's so much grass right above the town.
Because I'm actually really surprised to see this depiction of Oreburgh, because it actually does not really resemble anywhere in Hokkaido much at all. Mostly because Hokkaido is so very agricultural. And in particular, if you go to Yubari, the mine and the area around the mine is such a small part of the area, whereas there's a much bigger focus on farmland, on melons and other delicious fruits and vegetables that are made there, milk, cow raising, all sorts of wonderful stuff. So I don't actually know a whole lot about the mine of Yubari because unlike Oreburgh's mine, it is not really a tourist location.
Is this more like the area you were expecting?
Yes. But I'm going to talk about melons. Yubari melons would probably be called cantaloupe over here because they are orange. I don't know the secrets because it's very, very, carefully kept trade secrets, but they are the biggest, sweetest, most delicious melons I have ever consumed and probably will ever consume in my life. A single Yubari melon from a certain high-quality farm has sold for up to 2 million yen. Now, that's not $2 million US, but still, that's a lot of money for one melon.
Close to 20,000.
200,000.
200,000.
So all the streetlights are shaped like melons. There's so many stands where you can get melon cakes, melon ice cream, melon soda, and not the bright green that you would think of for Japanese melon soda. No, I'm talking bright orange, Hokkaido melon soda. And my personal favorite, Santa's beard, which is a big slice of melon with soft serve vanilla or milk ice cream on top. So this is actually the first area of the map where I'm feeling a little bit disappointed and feeling like it doesn't really actively, actually accurately, that was the correct word, accurately reflect the part of Hokkaido that it is being, because Yubari and the whole area around Yubari is downright beautiful and not a horrible mining town.
Is there any place that might have a mining museum?
Not specifically mining museums, but there are a lot. It's really common in Hokkaido for a town to have just a town museum, which will be an exhibition of whatever that town is famous for. That is so Hokkaido, I will say. Like, also, that also ties in with Hokkaido's rest stop culture. So, rest stops, or Michi-no-eki, are a much bigger thing in Japan, a bigger and nicer thing than they are in the West. When you think rest stop, you're probably thinking about a toilet and a vending machine, just a building on the side of the road. Maybe there's a food court, maybe there's a gas station. Rest stops in Japan are cultural waypoints, especially in Hokkaido. They often have these little museums in them where they showcase things that the town is famous for, or the area is famous for. They're often connected to fancy restaurants, hot springs, hotels, or other such things. They sell local specialties, and in Hokkaido, there is a actually very Pokemon-like game called the Michi-no-eki Stamp Rally, where at the beginning of each year, you get a little stamp book, and you stamp it for every Michi-no-eki, every rest stop that you visit. You get a little stamp, and you get prizes for how many stamps you get, so it's kind of a gotta catch 'em all sort of situation.
Gotta stamp them all, gotta stamp them
So
all.
I would say that the mining museum is definitely a reference to the town museum and Michi-no-eki culture in Hokkaido.
Okay.
Also, if you're traveling in Hokkaido, Michi-no-ekis are very frequently where you can get some of the best ice cream, because they will have unique flavors that are either actually famous in the area or supposedly famous in the area, but really actually they're a tourist item that you get at just that one Michi-no-eki. So at rest stops throughout Japan, I've tried carrot ice cream, I've tried camembert cheese ice cream, tomato, bell pepper, mermaid, which is just really, really blue.
Okay.
So many varieties of melon. And more that I'm probably not... Oh, corn. More that I'm probably not even remembering right now. So, yeah, that's another Hokkaido travel tip. Go to rest stops, get ice cream. Especially try carrot. It's way better than you think it is.
Is that everything you want to say about Oreburgh?
Yep.
Alright. So...
One thing I just want to say is we'll be making more videos about this, but hey, if you have any questions about living in Hokkaido, about the connections between Sinnoh and Hokkaido, about how the heck did you end up in Hokkaido in the first place, like, hey, reach out to me. I'm on Twitter at derletztentons. I'm on GameLuster under my name, Kate Mitchell, so just, heck, reach out to me, because I love talking about Hokkaido and everything to do with it. Obviously, it's somewhere, it's a place that I'm passionate about, that I've shared so much of my life with, so, yeah, talk to me about Hokkaido.
And if you have any suggestions for future episodes after we finish up looking at Sinnoh and the other Hokkaido-related areas, let us know, and we can see if we can get some console tours going.